Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now today is Sunday, so you know what that means. It's time to go around the net with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. So on the docket for today, we are starting off with some Wells Fargo card conversions coming soon. We're going to talk about Apple being sued over some Apple Pay and Tap to Pay features. We have Visa finally taking a stand against, chargeback fraud, and then we're going to close with a brand new Capital One business card that fans of the Venture X are probably going to be interested in. So of course, if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, of course, starting lead off, the news of the week was actually dominated by two cards. One of them we're going to talk about at the end of the show. That is the Capital One business card. The other was the Chase and Instacart co-branded credit card. Now, of course, we have a full video dedicated down below to it. I will link it if you're interested. But overall, for co-branded cards, pretty good because it basically mirrors the Amazon format of, 5% back at Instacart, the grocery delivery if you're into that. So definitely go check it out. It could be worth your time. But with that, we talk about the other news now, and we're checking in again with Wells Fargo. So this time they have a little bit of a sort of confusing announcement when it regards to old cards being converted to the new Active Cash, or new about a year ago card. So anyways, let's take a look at this because some of you could still be affected if you're lifelong Wells Fargo fans. So here we have it. This is kind of coming from their press release. It's really nicely laid out except for one part that we'll talk about. But really here, Wells Fargo is starting to convert very old cards to the Active Cash. Now the move is going to start on August 20th. Your new card should arrive in mid-September, so conversions finished around November. Now this is the interesting part. I said very old cards because they don't necessarily list out the cards. It looks like this is going to affect cards that use the old login system from Wells Fargo. So from what I understand, and this is again from a comment or a crowdsourced comment, is that there used to be like a Wells Fargo financial subsidiary of Wells Fargo, which was a different login for some old cards. It looks like if you got something like that, then you might be affected. Now overall, this isn't going to be like if you have the Cashwise or the Visa Signature or something like that. I don't believe these cards are transitioning over, just like these older cards, right? So if you have a list of those cards, if you drop some of the names down below, if you have some of them, that would probably be helpful to a lot of people. Now overall, of course, the Active Cash is their classic 2% card. So it's always worth noting when this happens, because if it is you, it could be advantageous to simply go ahead and apply for an Active Cash so you get a sign-up bonus. I have no word yet on if they're going to do a bonus payout, kind of like Bank of America did when Bank of America kind of started to convert other people, or at least they were offering product changes with a bonus. I don't see that happening. So if you want to try to get ahead of this, grab an Active Cash. It's like $200 sign-up bonus, but it's better than nothing if you just need a bonus to go after. Now with that, tying on to this story, there were some questions about being able to product change from an existing newer Wells Fargo card, to the new autograph card that we talked about last week. Again, full video on that. I can put it down below for you as well. So we have some interesting, data points or announcements, I guess. It looks like certain cards in the Wells Fargo lineup are able to be product changed to the autograph. So my understanding is that you can't change a Propel card or the secured card or the college card, but you could change something like the Cashwise or the Visa Signature, and not the Hotels card. The Hotels.com card can't change either. So there are some select conversions, product changes you can do if you're interested. But again, unless you just really don't want a hard pull, or burn a 524 slot, it's probably going to make more sense just to apply for it, get the $300 bonus, and keep it moving. So it does look like we have some optionality. Now it does get confusing because folks had called into Wells Fargo and they kind of said, hey, not until September, because they're planning some card member agreement changes. So I don't know, that one might be a year, mileage may vary, but I know we did get some questions about it, so at least we have some data points of people having some level of success depending on the card. So with that, we're going to move over to Apple and specifically the Tap to Pay feature. So ever so often, giant conglomerates like Apple find themselves in a class action lawsuit, and that's where we picked this story up. Apple's actually being sued over their Tap to Pay and Apple Wallet feature. So the class action lawsuit claims Apple was violating antitrust laws. It made it so Apple Pay was the only way to complete a tap-to-pay transaction, obviously on the iPhone, iPad, or Apple Watch. So U.S. card issuers, they pay Apple 0.15% of each transaction completed on Apple Pay, as where Google allows multiple digital wallets and doesn't collect a fee. So that's kind of where this comes into play. If you want to add your cards to Apple Wallet and Apple Pay, well, that's the only way you can do a tap-to-pay transaction with that versus Google, who allows you to do other mobile wallets. Now, interesting quotes from this class action here coming from Mac Rumor. So on the left, Apple is legally profiting at least $1 billion annually by blocking rivals from accessing NFC technology on its devices, thereby preventing competing services like Google Pay or Samsung Pay from offering tap-to-pay payment functionality on Apple devices. Now, other side here, again, this is going to be from the attorneys, I believe. When you compare the functionality of Apple Pay to mobile wallets available on Android devices, Google Pay, Samsung, you're essentially holding up a mirror. They are all essentially identical. Now, and yet the same service on Android that card issuers pay absolutely nothing for costs them a collective $1 billion annually through Apple Pay. So overall, there you have it. On some level, this isn't super surprising. Again, as an Apple fan, I can attest to Apple having, the walled garden, right? And on one hand, I don't know why the other ones are so interested in letting other mobile wallets on their platform. The only real difference here is that, Apple has iOS and Google, has Android, but Android is on like every other device that's not basically iOS. It's kind of like laptop land, right? There's Dell laptops, there are Microsoft laptops, there's Lenovo, HP, and they all run Windows versus Mac just runs Mac OS. Yes, back in the day you could do parallels and get Windows on it, but you get the point, right? So to me, on one side, it's kind of like, yeah, I get it, but that little piece that Apple does take is interesting because the service, the NFC technology, there's no real differentiator other than the fact that at least here in the States, Apple has a commanding grip on the smartphone market. So we'll have to see how this one plays out. I don't know. This one, at least, yeah, I'm kind of biased as an Apple fan, but I don't actually use Tap to Pay or the Apple Wallet, believe it or not. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of think Google should probably just start charging money for this or build their service up. Honestly, that seems like the obvious play here for me, but again, let me know what you think if you're kind of a mobile user, a mobile wallet user, or a tap-to-pay user. Again, you could just accuse me of being biased in the Apple side of things. Now, with that, we're going to talk about a payment network, and that is Visa. So Visa was in all the payment networks actually kind of in the news as of late, not only for increasing fees, but one of the big things that merchants, so stores, had talked about was that, hey, these basically credit card chargebacks, fraudulent chargebacks, were really hurting them, right? You know how a chargeback works. If you get a charge on your credit card and, hey, you didn't place it, or maybe the service wasn't up to par, or something's wrong with it, you can file a credit card chargeback, and more often than not, we as cardholders win. But there's a lot of fraudulent chargebacks as well, where people just do it to try to get free items. But now Visa's allowing these merchants to kind of help push back and defend themselves a little bit more. So let's take a look at this. Now, this comes from payments.com here. So the big deal is that Visa will now allow merchants to submit data to support the validity of a charge. So things such as like login proof, proof of product use, or purchase history. This is basically using third-party tools here. So what they're saying is, hey, when we use third-party tools, this actually helps reduce the loss from chargeback. So you can see the difference between using it with and without it. And again, it's kind of a small percentage, but again, when it's your bottom line, I think it does make a big deal. Now, overall, this change was going to go into effect next year in April. So overall, there was a survey done here, and basically we're saying, hey, resolving cardholder disputes using third-party tools has a measurable impact to the bottom line. This study read 66% of merchants report that these tools help cut their operating costs. 54% of respondents say the tools help them reduce the effect that the disputed transaction have on operations, and merchants also say the tools help them comply with a card network's requirements, such as controlling the dispute ratio, which 31% say is important. So, of course, all this stuff is important, and I'm kind of a fan of this because, sometimes we do credit card chargebacks are supposed to be easy, no friction for the card holder, but when people take advantage of it, scammers and things like that, fraudsters, then it does diminish the benefit for all of us who do like to rely on that just in case with credit cards. Overall, if they have access to third-party data already, it doesn't really make any sense why we would ignore it if they have it. So I'm a fan of this, hoping that it kind of just protects, the folks trying to use it the right way, honestly. Now, Of course, we're going to have to see, how aggressive they get with this third-party information and things like that. But again, they've got a year to kind of sort it out. So I would imagine MasterCard and the rest of them will follow suit. Now, with that, we're going to talk about Capital One and their brand new card here. So if you're a fan of the Venture X card, the question's long been asked, well, why don't they have a business version? Because most companies have a personal and a business version, kind of like the same card. Well, if you've been waiting for that, your wait is over. Well, it's almost over, potentially. So let's take a look at this from Capital One to close out the show. So they have the Spark Travel Elite card. Annual fee $395. Your multipliers here: 10x miles on hotels and car rentals through the Capital One portal, 5x miles on flights when booking through Capital One's travel portal, 2x miles on all other purchases. Benefits here: you're looking at 10,000 mile anniversary bonus, $300 annual travel credit for bookings through the portal, priority pass and Capital One lounge access, and a $100 TSA pre or global entry credit every 4 years. So if that sounds familiar to you, because that is basically the Venture X card, just on the business side of the house. Now, other things you need to know here: sign-up bonus. It's a steep one, but it could be good. 250,000 points broken down into kind of a two-parter. So 50,000 miles after you spend 10K within the first 3 months. An additional 200,000 miles. That'll get you the 250 total when you spend 50K in the first 6 months. Now, if you're waiting for this card, hang on just a second, because application rules are saying, hey, existing Spark cardholders can apply for Spark Travel Elite now. Spark Clash Plus cardholders cannot apply for this card yet, and so it's not yet on the page open for brand new applicants if you're not one of these existing Spark cardholders to start. Again, Spark is the business line for travel cards for Capital One. So we don't have a full video on this one yet. I'll probably make a full video once it goes live to the public, but I did want to announce it at least here. So, if you do have a Spark card, you can jump on it. Overall, I think it's a good card because, again, we like the Venture X, and this is basically the Venture X, right? But again, the Capital Ones are putting a lot of work into travel. So, if you want to, jump on this or try to convert one of your Spark cards, that could be good as well. Again, just remember, if you're converting, sign-up bonus, you're probably not going to get. However, we did get late word that this Spark Elite is not going to report to personal credit. In the past, Capital One had some business cards reporting, but they have confirmed on the Doctor of Credit at least that this will not report to personal credit. So making this just as good of an option if you were, again, trying to nurse your 524 status or something like that. So overall, good move on Capital One's part. I like this card a lot, but again, I like the Venture X, so it's not too surprising there. I really just think Capital One needs to now focus on their supporting cast of cards, right? They have a good supporting cast, but what do I do with them? How do they support, the two powerhouse cards that they have? And of course, they probably need to make their rules just more transparent, or at least is more understandable. I guess no issue really makes their rules transparent, but I've talked to many of you out there who have talked to Capital One and gotten different answers on different things, and it is very confusing. But again, I still like the direction that they're headed, and they're easily trying to push themselves up into being one of the competitors in the game. So anyways, guys, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found a particularly interesting course, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, we're posting content just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Of course, question for you guys is, let me know what you think. Are you going to jump on, at least when you're eligible for it, or when it's available to the public, you jumping on the Capital One business card, or are you going to try to product change over to it? Let me know about the Instacart and the autograph as well, if you've seen those videos as well. Of course, what else have you seen going on in the news? Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and talk to you very soon on Monday.